What is up, peoples? Tocen here with another awesome tutorial and whatnot, and today I'm going to be bringing you the first episode in my new mini-series of videos showing you how to make professional quality thumbnails and whatnot. With what you're going to be learning today is going to help you compete with top YouTubers while knowing little to nothing about Photoshop. This episode is going to focus on fonts, and everything you see in this picture you're going to be able to make by the end of this video. And I also want you to have your own style rather than a complete copy of what I'm doing here. But for today, we're going to do the same thing together so you can understand how it all works. First off, for this tutorial, you're going to want to have Photoshop CS6 or a similar version. All these tools will be included in past versions of Photoshop as well. Secondly, take your time here. If I'm going too fast, pause the video and take a step back to familiarize yourself with what you're doing. Now, starting from scratch, we're going to click over here onto this letter T. Click and drag inside the window and then type what we want. We want to have 3 separate lines of text, and you're going to see why later. Make sure that you put everything in capital letters to help draw attention to your video. And we're going to make the font larger by going up to font size, click it, then hold down the up arrow until we have the size that we like. If the box you made isn't big enough to hold your words, go over to this box and use the scroll wheel to get the resize tool and resize the boundaries. Now, how we separate ourselves from other YouTubers is by using our very own unique font that fits our personality. And since for this video we want to be like everybody else, we're going to use the generic impact font. If you don't see it, there's going to be a link in the description below to download that. Usually when choosing a font for a thumbnail, we want it to be big and bold with little spacing between the lettering so we can fit as much letters as we need here without taking too much real estate for our images. And impact fits that description nicely. Now I'm going to make this first line a good orange color and the second a nice little blue, and I'm going to keep the bottom white. That way I can show you different styles put together. After this is my favorite part, the coolification. This is going to be putting all those awesome effects and style into your boring lettering. So go to your first word layer, right click it, then go to blending options. This is the main menu where we have almost everything to have a quality text for our thumbnail. The first thing we're going to do here is have a stroke. So click on stroke, then you'll see the menu changes and we have our stroke options. We'll only need to change the size here, and this is a good stroke. Then we're going to add a bevel. Not everybody adds a bevel to the lettering, but having the ability to gives you your own style. What a bevel does, it just makes the text pop out. And a standard style would be to have an inner bevel with a hard chisel. Don't put too much depth or else it's going to make the text look really bad, so back it off of it. Feel free to change the size and soften to your own style, but mostly keep that bevel close to the edge of the lettering. After that, we're going to add a gradient overlay, and this is going to give our font a nice fade to it. So click on gradient overlay and change the mode to overlay. Then you're going to see that nice fade happening. Change the scale to make it not as harsh of a fade, meaning that we don't want to have so much contrast between the lightest and darkest colors showing. What we can also do in place of changing the scale is clicking on the gradient, then clicking these little boxes here to change the white to a light gray and the black to a dark gray. And using this menu, you're going to be able to get more precisely what kind of effect fade you want. And what some people do is they have a horizon effect in their text. And to do that, we're going to change the layer style to reflected and reverse the gradient by clicking on this box. Then change the scale appropriately to what you want to have, and after that you get something like this. So click OK to apply it, and don't worry, you can go back and change the settings if you don't like it. It's not permanent yet. So let's go ahead and make our next line of text look the same. That way we don't have to redo all of the basic steps we already did. So right click the layer we worked on and click copy layer style. Then right click the next one and select paste layer style. Bam! Looks the same now. But we're going to change it up a bit by removing the reflected style and putting a texture on it. So next we're going to click on pattern overlay. Then change the blend mode to multiply for the best effect. And depending on what your texture is, you might want to change it to luminosity or possibly a different other option. But for the most part, multiply is going to have the best effects for generic textures. And I don't really like this pattern here, and when you click here to change it, you're going to see there's not much to choose from. Luckily, adding patterns in Photoshop is really easy. So once you have a pattern downloaded that you like, go ahead and open it up in Photoshop. All we have to do now is click edit and define pattern, rename it, click OK and close out of it. Go back to your text pattern menu and it's going to show right up. Click on it and then just change the scale to fit however you want it. You might already also have a lot of different patterns pre-set up by Photoshop that you can access by clicking on the settings icon and changing it to one of these. But after patterns, we're going to get into the warping. And this is going to change the shape of our words and help us blend it into the background image or have words pop out at you. So click the word layer that we want to have the warped and make sure we're in text edit mode. Then click the T with the underline up here and scroll through these options. Now the bend option is going to change how much the effect shows, and the horizontal and vertical distortion change the position in which the effect originates. So feel free to mess around with these options here and know what they all do. And don't worry about how the fades mess up. When you apply the warp, it's going to fix itself, unless you have a pattern. When we have all of our text the way we want, we're going to rasterize their styles. And rasterizing means that we're going to make the changes to the text permanent. Before that, we want to have some backups just in case we don't like how it turns out. So right click each layer and duplicate them and then hide the copies. Then go back to the originals, right click and rasterize the layer style. After that, merge them together by right clicking the layer and clicking merge down, and this is going to merge it to the one below it. And when all of our text layers are merged together, we're going to go into the final step, drop shadows. You should know what to do next. Go to blending options, then click on drop shadow. You're going to see all the standard settings here. Keep the blend mode at multiply, and the angle dial is going to change which direction the shadow goes. The use global light button does not matter. It is for advanced settings, so don't worry about it. Distance is going to change how far the shadow goes from the text. Spread is going to change how much of the shadow should be at the maximum darkness. And size changes the maximum size of which the shadow should be able to go. Now the norm is to keep the distance at 0 and have the size be about twice the size of the text, and have a spread that fits your image. So this looks about good right here, so I'm going to apply this. Remember, don't make it too dark. And that's about it for today. You can see we have 3 awesome texts already. You can do the original orange fade with the stroke on it. You're going to be able to add patterns to your fonts. And you can do the original black and white lettering, all together with drop shadows. Now if you feel like you didn't learn enough, I might consider making a more advanced tutorial, depending on what you guys think. And coming up in different episodes, I'm going to be showing you how to cut out different objects from pictures, and like outlining a player character pointing at the screen with his gun, or even making your own backgrounds that aren't screenshots. But for now, let me know how yours turned out by tweeting them to me at Tocen_. And until next time, peace out, peoples.